Welcome to the show, Ruthann.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. Listen, real quick. Today on Talk CDL, we've got the Farmer's Almanac Winter Weather Prediction. Stick around to see if 2022 into 2023 is going to be a good winter for truckers or not. We also have a horrible accident, and I want to talk about it because something recently almost happened to you and I, where two truck drivers had a head-on collision from a wrong-way trucker, which is horrible. It's actually, believe it or not, a big thing in the country, and we'll talk about that. And then also, I've got a trucker survey on how truck drivers feel appreciation or not since the pandemic, and a couple other questions they were asked, all on today's Talk CDL.
Sounds like a great show.
Awesome. So how about a couple sponsors real quick? National Carriers. Again, they are a company out of Dallas, Texas. They pull reefers, 100% no-touch. They're looking for students. They're looking for trainers. They're looking for solos and lease drivers. 888-311-7076. Give them a call today. Tell them Talk CDL sent you. 888-311-7076. We also have Carter Lumber, Ruthann. Carter Lumber is looking for Class A and Class B drivers, and they are all local, and they are located almost everywhere east of the Mississippi. They have over 160 locations. Their address is www.carterlumber.com/talk CDL. That's carterlumber.com/talk CDL. Camion's break-even calculator also, which is brought to you by LoadSmart. Camion, that's KAMION as in Nancy, .io /talk CDL. Go check that out. It's a free download, and they will help you utilize every part of your business to cut down the cost in your trucking business. That's KAMION.io /talk CDL. And last but not least, DriveWise. And that's spelled DRIVEWYZE, and they are a great company. It's app-based. All you got to do is go in, download the app, and you can start bypassing scales today. If you're a small trucking company and you don't want to order the other guys and get the transponders and all the machines that you got to do with it, I hear they have a better deal at DriveWise. That's DRIVEWYZE.com. On to the show, Ruthann.
Okay, Howard.
Oh, Howard. Howard.
W-Y-Z.
Did I do that?
You did.
W-Y. Okay. Anyways, so let's start off with the Farmer's Almanac. It's interesting, and I was kind of just looking through things the other day, and I came across this, and I thought this would be really super freaking cool for drivers to hear as far as, what. Now, remember one thing. First off, the Farmer's Almanac, I mean, most places, remember when we were younger, like the weatherman, how often was the weatherman right? They were never right.
I just know they're not ever right now. Back then, I don't remember. I didn't watch the news when I was little.
And now we moved to Florida 20-some years ago, and we noticed in Florida, the weatherman's never right here either.
Nope.
I mean, the only time the weatherman's right is when there's a big system. And I mean, like, for example, if there's this giant system in the Gulf where, like, the whole state's going to be getting rain, they're pretty good at saying, hey,
you're going to get rain.
You're going to get rain. Okay. But, like, and Florida's really, credit to them, the weather in Florida is tough because the storms just form right out here, and they come in, and so they predict, storms here, storms there, and sometimes they're right, sometimes they're not, but for the most part, they're not. So this Farmer's Almanac, go ahead.
Florida has really, really ridiculous weather where it will be sunny and all of a sudden it rain. I mean, we have to at least say that. It's not, I'm not going to say that the weather guys are really totally incompetent, but...
Well, they are.
We get some really ridiculous kind of weather where just all of a sudden it just like...
Yeah, Florida's crazy.
Yeah, they're bipolar.
Yeah. So what I was going to say, the Farmer's Almanac, when I was younger, it wasn't really any different than the groundhog predicting your weather. You know what I mean? And so, but the one thing though they have gotten better at, and truck drivers know this, like when they know it's an El Nino year and there's another one, an El something year, they know that
Camino.
El Nino and
Camino.
El Nino. Yeah, I think you're right. Nino and Nino.
I said Camino.
Oh no, I think it's Nino and Nino or something. Either way, they've gotten better at it. And one thing that I've noticed, like you look at like some of the years, like when the winters are really bad up, say in the Northeast for truckers, you can almost predict, and I think it's because of the trough. You know what I mean? Like the jet stream and the trough, it kind of stays in a pattern. It doesn't it's not just scrambled. And I think they've learned that a lot where, I mean, I remember one winter, I was like, man, them poor drivers. It was like every week at the end of every week, it was like they counted like 19 storms, just constantly nor'easters, you know what I mean, where the winter would just blow in and these guys were just getting pelted with ice and snow. And I think that's where they've gotten more accurate on their prediction for, the upcoming year. I will say though, like this past year, they predicted a lot of hurricanes and we haven't had one yet. Not that we can't get any. We still have a couple months of hurricane season, but onward to the Farmer's Almanac winter storm warnings.
Lay it on us.
Okay. It says, let me just start out with this if I can. Okay. It says the winter's coming. The first day of winter is the shortest day of the year, which everybody knows that. I think that's called the vernal equinox. It officially arrives. Do you know the date?
No.
December 21st.
Huh?
And I know that because the longest day of the year is June 21st. Is the longest day where the sun goes down the latest and all that stuff. So 6 months later is the shortest day of the year. Okay, and it says December 21st, but that doesn't always mean that the cold temperatures and snowstorms will wait until then. So what's in store? Here's the Almanac's extended winter weather forecast for winter of 22 through 23 in the U.S. of A. It says, got flannel, hot chocolate, snowshoes. It's time to stock up. According to our extended forecast, this winter season will have plenty of snow, rain, and mush, as well as some record-breaking cold temperatures. We are warning readers to get ready to shake, shiver, and shovel.
Okay, so this is for like the whole U.S., right? Not just like the northern U.S.
Well, they're gonna break it down in the regions. I've got like the different northeast, southeast, all that stuff. I got all that here. But they're saying, it's gonna be tough in some areas. In some areas, it's not.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Excuse me. It says the first bite of winter should come earlier than last year's. December 22 looks stormy and cold nationwide, with an active storm pattern developing and hanging around for most of the season over the eastern half of the country. So, and you think about that for a second. It was just exactly what I was just talking about. You get into these troughs where the weather, it seems like, okay, every week it's hitting this area. Like one year I remember it was all right up from like, say, Oklahoma all the way up to Minnesota. It was pounding them. And then one year it's over in the Northeast. And then there's another year where the frigid colds up in like the Dakotas, like it's 500 million below zero, and that's the patterns. So this year's pattern, it says, what we hear more often than not is how much snow will you get? How much are we going to get, Farmer's Almanac? It says, when will the winter storm warnings start? And when will it end? Well, according to our extended forecast, there should be quite a few significant winter weather disturbances nationwide in 22 and 23. A few of these dates include the first week of January in the Rockies and across the plains. During this time, we see good potential for heavy snow that may reach as far south as Texas and Oklahoma, followed by a sweep of bitterly cold air. The second one is January 16th through the 23rd. We'll raise another red flag for bouts of heavy rain and snow across the eastern 2/3 of the country. You hear that? The eastern I'll read that again. It says the second week of January, they're predicting they'll raise another red flag for bouts of heavy rain and snow across the eastern 2/3 of the country, followed by what might be one of the coldest outbreaks of Arctic air we have seen in several years. How cold? Try 40 degrees below zero. This is what they're predicting now. Come the middle of January, 2/3 of the eastern half. Okay, that's what he said, right? He said 2/3 of, 2/3 of the country. So basically, the West Coast isn't supposed to experience this, but probably from like Colorado all the way to Maine, they're expecting record cold temperatures come January. That's some crappy weather. That's some crappy news.
Yeah.
You hear how he ended? He said, try 40 below.
It is cold. Well, I mean, up in like, like Montana and Washington State, the areas up there. And then even in the areas where there's some really good mountain ranges, I could definitely see that being part of the below sections of it.
Yeah. Okay, so...
But 40, my gosh.
Yeah, it kind of sucks just even hearing that. So it says, how much snow will you see this winter season? 22-23 should be dominated by an active storm track in the eastern half of the country, running from the western Gulf of Mexico, which is the Houston area. That's usually where those nor'easters start. Anyways, down in that area, in that valley, it says the western Gulf of Mexico to the northeast, across the Virginias, and across the interior New York State and New England. So they're looking at obviously a lot of nor'easters coming this year, pounding, just like what I was talking about a few years ago. It says areas south of the storm track, much of the southeast, our area, will see frequent storms bringing cold rains and wintry mix of wet snow, sleet, ice, freezing rain, as well as chilly temperatures. So, and you know what happens when those cold fronts start coming down. Florida, we've experienced weather here in the teens several times.
Yeah, we've had to cover our palm trees.
Yeah, I think I've seen it where it was 5 degrees here once in the 22 years we're here. Definitely frost times. You know what they do in the frost here in the winter when Florida gets frost in the blueberry and strawberry farms, they literally start spraying it with water.
Yeah, they let it mist on the
right. They let up a hard protective shell. That's what. See, ice and frost are two different things. Frost will ruin something. That's why when you get something freezer burn, it's from frost. Okay, when you freeze something in water. Okay, I got a friend that when he hunts, he'll put everything in containers and then he'll fill it with water and freeze it. Well, it'll stay like that for a couple of years in his freezer. The difference is when you put something in your freezer in a Ziploc bag, if there's a little bit of air in there, it's going to eventually get ruined. Well, so the farmers down here have learned that what they do is they have like these giant sprinkler systems. They'll spray their blueberries and their strawberries the night before, and it'll freeze over the berries, and it'll protect them from the frost. Pretty cool, isn't it? So it says the I-95 corridor can be included in the winter mix zone, with places to the north of the track seeing the precipitation fall more as snow and at times a lot of it. It says this may be especially true over the Ohio Valley and Great Lakes area. So not just, from the Houston, Louisiana area going up on that angle, to where it literally runs up into Virginia and then swoops up through Pennsylvania and the New England states. But now it's also saying the Ohio Valley area. So that's going to be over there, clipping Indiana, Michigan, and the western part of Pennsylvania, all that. It's going to get pounded is what it's saying. It says snow lovers will be happy in the north central states as they will see a fair share of storminess during the winter season, which should mean plenty of snow for winter enthusiasts to enjoy, maybe even in time for a white Christmas. I've seen our share of those, Ruthann.
It's been a long time.
Yeah. Do you want to go up for the winter?
No.
The south central states are forecast to see some accumulating snow, especially in January. The far west and Pacific Northwest will see about normal winter precipitation. However, the southwest will experience less than normal. So they're going to be dry, is what they're saying. Now it says, how cold will it get? The big takeaway for our winter season forecast is that frigid temperatures should flow into many areas nationwide, especially in the north central region, where readers will certainly be shaking and shivering. I've got a map here, and it shows on the, in fact, I should just go ahead and show it real quick. I'm going to just show everybody. The map obviously shows a normal precipitation in the northwest, mild and dry in the southwest, hibernation zone, glacial, snow-filled in the north central, chillier than normal precipitation down in Texas, and then unreasonably cold and snowy. And it looks like from really Tennessee's included. So basically, the southern states like Alabama, Louisiana, Mississippi, the tops of those states and up to the northeast is going to be unseasonably cold. When you get up into New England and part of Pennsylvania, it says significant shivers, slushy, icy, snowy. And the southeast where we're at, shivery, wet, and slushy. Yeah, now look, again, this could be just like the groundhog predicting it. You know what I mean? These are people predicting a pattern, but they have been doing pretty good as of late on the patterns, but they did suck at the hurricane season this year. Not that we can't still get very active, but it has not gone to prediction so far.
Well, did the Farmer's Almanac predict the hurricane? Did you read that one, or was it just the Hurricane Center that you are going by?
I mean, they're all going by probably the same type of forecasting. I mean, I don't know. Who knows? It says, one last thing, it says hot chocolate warning in the east and south. A cold December and a very cold January might make readers in the northeast shake and shiver, but February will be milder, bring milder temperatures. That should make winter seem more bearable. So February, now they're predicting this crazy winter, and they said it's going to start. They said it's going to start before December. So they're thinking like November is going to be crappy, December, January. But they said February. They're predicting February to be warmer than normal. It says the southeast will experience some shivers, especially during the month of January. Fortunately for the snowbirds, February will likewise warm the region to near normal winter season temperatures overall. So Florida might get back into the, 70s and 80s by February. That's what it's saying. Extra flannels necessary in other states. Winter will feel unreasonably cold for readers in the Great Lakes region, especially in January. Farther south into the southern plains, temperatures will average chillier than normal. The Pacific Northwest will see brisk, cool conditions, and the Southwest will be in the mild area of the country with near normal winter temperatures. When will it warm up? It says after a vernal equinox, when we should be slipping into spring, expect a lion-like end of March. There should be a wide variety of weather conditions ranging from heavy snows to torrential rains to gusty thunderstorms across much of the region. So what it's really saying here is the winter's going to be harsh. And then it looks like it's going to go out like a lion in March, which March, a lot of people think, and I used to be one of them, when March comes, I'd be out there driving truck and you'd be like, all right, well, we're in March now. We're good. We're okay. But then all of a sudden you get these nasty, crazy storms. March can blow in the worst storms there is. So I would just tell every one of you drivers, if you are a driver that goes all over the country, start getting your warm clothes in the truck. Make sure you have warm gloves. Make sure you have warm boots. Make sure you have, I'm telling you, thermal underwear is the best, is your best friend. Wear a undercoating of underclothes. It is really, Ruth, and that's really good stuff, especially if you break down. What happens when you get out? You got to go eat, you got to fuel up, all that crap. It's best to be warm.
Well, you could also, I would suggest, just to make things more comfortable when you're sleeping, get those like the little hand and feet warmers that you can buy.
I was going to say that.
I would start just buying a pack, not a pack, but like boxes of them here and there on Amazon, and just start getting your boxes now, so that by the time the weather starts setting in, you're one, prepared, but also you're not worried, because if it does get really bad, like they're projecting, then they can end up selling out really fast to certain things like that, and then you don't have them. So I would just suggest start getting some of that supplies now, and then of course getting your emergency supplies, like one of those blankets that are for like an emergency heating blanket, like not one that you plug, but for the body heat, just in case something happens to your truck, and make sure that you have the truck ready to be serviced to put the additive in the fuel so that it don't get all jelly, the different stuff like that you need. Start getting prepared, and at least making the appointments for your truck to get in and get serviced like that.
And what's funny is when you started talking about those hand warmers, I'm getting ready to order some for hunting, but if I was out there, and not everybody has an APU, some of them have the bunk heaters, which are pretty good, but when you're in like seriously freezing weather, I've been in Chicago in that Western Star with the idle turned up, heater in the bunk going, heater in the front going, and I was shivering. I mean, you remember me telling you about that. It was just, there's times where it's cold and the wind is blowing and you cannot get that truck warm. I mean, it's just nasty. So I'll tell you, if you went on Amazon and you ordered those little toe warmers, like Ruth Ann said, they have the ones that stick to your belly. If you stick one, literally, they're very cheap and they last like 11, 12 hours. So I think some of them are even 24, but I usually get the 12-hour ones. And if you put one on the back of your neck and one on like underneath your shirt, down towards your belly, or even up on your chest, you don't even need blankets. I mean, they'll keep you warm, buddy. I mean, really warm. They're nice to have. And guess what? If you ever find yourself broke down out in the middle of nowhere, or whatever the case is in the winter, those little hand warmers, you put one in each boot, one in your gloves, one on your belly, one on your back of your neck. And if you have to walk, I promise you, you will be warm. Because I've hunted in frigid weather with those things on. They're cheap to have. They last a long time. Just keep them in your utility box or whatever you organize with.
Well, you don't know. You for all you know, you can end up having a storm come in. You get stuck. I mean, what happened last year on, was it 95 coming out of Virginia? That big storm shut down.
That's right. I forget. Yeah. Drivers were sitting for like 24 hours.
You don't know. You don't want to have another incident like that where if it does shut down for some whatever reason whatsoever. I mean, the drivers were going out and giving blankets to babies and stuff, that little kids that they seen in the vehicles surrounding them. But you still got to make sure that you're taken care of. So get prepared. Even if you have to start getting it now, get a little tub that you could put in your box there that you have on the side, and get one of those tubs and to start putting stuff in there that has those emergency kind of supplies in them. You just don't want to take a chance, honestly.
Yeah, and some drivers actually needed rescuing in that incident, and people run out of fuel. I mean, seriously, drivers, one of the things with winter coming, get prepared. I'm going to tell you, rubber boots are some of the best insulated things you can have. Staying dry will save your life.
I need to get new ones, by the way.
Yeah.
Mine are
you wear them out. I mean, that's the truth. But the bottom line with this is have food in your truck. And when I say food, I don't mean food that you're cooking with every day. I mean food that like you might have to open up a can or add hot water to, or
granola bars.
If you even have hot, yeah, exactly. Just stuff that you may need if you never know if you get a load up to the Northwest. So there's places up there you could drive for hours and not even see, anything open. And it's just a matter of a little emergency kit, getting ready for the winter, getting ready to be prepared if you're going to have to get out of that truck and you want to be able to survive. And I'll tell you, I've talked to companies up in the north. I knew this company once that was in North Dakota in I can't think of the town they were in, but he told me guys would show up. Really?
Flip-flops.
Well,
sorry, that's in my head. Flip-flops.
But no, guys have showed up in flip-flops in the winter and shorts on. And the guy's name was Steve, was the manager of this company, and he'd be like, dude, we're in North Dakota. And the driver would be like, oh, I'm okay. I'm used to weather. But realistically, he said, by the end of the day, I was having to buy the guy a coat before he got sick to death. They just weren't prepared. So if you're going to be going up north to take a job, guys, I'm going to tell you right now, when you land, if you live in Florida, Alabama, Louisiana, Mississippi, Texas, any one of the southern states, okay, Georgia.
Even Virginia is totally different than when you get to the Midwest.
I'm sorry. It really is. When you land there and your little southern outfit, okay, if you haven't gone there, or you maybe forgot what it's like up there, I guarantee you when you get off that plane and you walk outside, you will be like, oh my gosh, I got to get to Walmart to get a jacket. You're better off bringing it. Bring your warm clothes if you're going to orientation, and pack your trucks right. That's more important than anything it's more important than your damn TV. It really is.
You would say that when you are freezing and you don't have reception on your TV because the snowstorm just has everything blocked out. And you're like, why didn't I just pack something warmer?
I will say one thing. Places like down here in Florida, they use scare tactics because they go, oh my God, there's a hurricane coming. We're going to all die. Ah! And then everybody runs and they clean out the stores. They buy the water up. They buy all the plywood. They buy up all the generators, bread, water. Everything gets taken, right? And gas, everything. And then it never comes. Half the time the hurricane doesn't come. And it's almost like, I'm not trying to give these guys scare tactics. It really don't cost you much to be prepared just in case.
Right.
And with the prediction, I would say, be prepared. No, I don't think there's any man that can predict, that far out in weather. But guess what? You can, and they may be right. Be prepared. Ruth Ann, do you have anything else you want to talk about on this weather-related thing until we move on? Moving on? Can we move on? Yes, let's move on. I wanted to talk about this real quick. I wanted to talk about this crash that happened in Wisconsin. There was two tractor trailers. I'm going to read it, actually. I want to read this to you guys because it was crazy. There was two tractor trailers. One got on the wrong way. He got on the wrong path. Here it is right here. And this happened in Wisconsin. It says, sheriff confirms two truckers were killed in a fiery wrong way crash in Wisconsin. It says, sheriff's department says that two truck drivers lost their lives on Thursday in Belgium, Wisconsin. And we don't like this to give that kind of news, but this is what happened. It says, they responded to a crash around 6:30 at night on September 8th on the southbound I-43 south of Sandy Beach Road. It says a northbound semi-truck left the roadway, entered the southbound lanes of I-43, and struck a southbound semi-truck. Both vehicles sustained severe damage. Both drivers succumbed to injuries at the scene, the police said. It says police have not yet provided information on the identities of the truckers or the one that caused the crash. It says I-43 is now reopened. I wanted to talk to you about this because now it sounds to me like that could be possibly a medical emergency right there. It says a trucker crossed over. He was going northbound. He crossed the medium, it looks like, and went and got into the southbound lane. So possibly, and most likely, I would think it was probably a medical emergency on that part, right? Would you not?
I would think so because it said that when you're reading it said that nothing's being released right now. And then it said, or of the person that caused it. So they're still investigating what was the reasoning behind it as far as him getting over, which they're probably doing an autopsy and seeing if something happened prior to.
Yeah, they're going to, obviously they're going to check to see if he had anything in him, any drugs or alcohol. And they're going to be checking to see if he had a heart attack, and just, or maybe passed out, had a seizure. Any one of those things can cause you not to be able to control your vehicle. Mm-hmm. But the reason I wanted to bring this article on, last week you and I were in Florida and we were driving on a 4-lane highway, and what did we come up on?
Headlights coming at us in an odd spot.
And it wasn't even dark yet, and we could see everything. And or was it was like
It was
right at
it was
dusk.
dusky.
It was right at dusk. And here's a car coming is coming at us in our lane. I thought, and remember I said it looks like a cop at first, but he didn't have his lights on. And here it was just a pedestrian, confused, coming right by us. We had to get in the passing lane, and he was actually in the slow lane. He should have been turned around. I couldn't see if it was a guy or a girl.
Yeah, it was like they were on the farthest lane over. So it was, what was weird is, even if they were mistaken, that you can't mistake that. I can't even understand how they would manage to get that far over, because it wasn't even in the passing lane on our side to make it look like, oh, they were still over in their section of the highway. They were over on the farthest. So y'all understand what I'm saying there?
Unless they were from England and drinking.
Just totally forgot where they were.
And forgot where they were. This was just somebody that, I mean, I've actually almost done it myself. There's times where you're in an intersection with a lot of bright lights at night, and you go to make a left, and you all of a sudden you go, whoa, I'm almost going up the wrong way, because the lane you're supposed to be in is actually further out to where you should be sweeping wider to get to that turn. And I want to say this. That is the third time in my life that a wrong way driver came by me on a fast highway. I mean, literally, I've twice when I was younger, before I ever met Ruth Ann, and some of you people that are from Schuylkill County, Pennsylvania, where we're from.
Well, they still will know that part of Highway 61.
Well, they'll know it. And a lot of truckers know if you go up 81 in Pennsylvania to Frackville, and you get on Route 61 south, and you're coming down a little bit of a mountain grade, not major, but it's a little bit, and it's very curvy and windy. Well, I was going northbound from St. Clair, Pennsylvania, up to Frackville in my car, and lo and behold, and this was in broad daylight, I'm like, whoa, what's that? And here comes a car, and I slowed down real quick. And it was a little old lady. When I say, I'm telling you, it was a little old lady, and she did not look like she even realized that she was in the wrong lane.
She just motoring along.
Somehow she got confused and got onto that lane. Well, lo and behold, maybe a year later, exact same thing happened to me. I'm going up the same road, Frackville Mountain, and I guess somehow, some way, if they were coming out of that mall, at the time there was a mall, or I don't know if they were coming off the exit off of I-81, but to get on 61 South, people sometimes tend to get on 61 North and go southbound in the wrong way lane and risk getting themselves killed. I'm telling you, this is 3 times this has happened to me, and I could tell you there's been several times here in Florida where somebody got on the interstate, and remember that SUV? A few years ago down in Tampa, I believe there was about 6 or 8 people killed in an SUV or in a car that hit a big black SUV. What's the Chevy Suburban? I think it was a Suburban or the Escalade. And it was just terrible. It happens a lot. People just don't realize you got to take your time when you're getting on an interstate. Again, I know that this trucker didn't accidentally go over into the other lane. It sounds to me like he had an episode, but I wanted to talk about it because we were almost involved in 3 wrong way crashes ourselves. Well, myself.
Yeah, I wasn't involved in that many, but I was involved in that last one. But in the state of Florida, on a lot of their like on the turnpike here going down on 589, they have put a barrier now going up most of the whole turnpike to prevent people from going across and being in the wrong lane coming off of the on the exits, because that was one of the biggest problems that a lot of them were having here, is whether it be because of drinking or just not, a matter of just some confusion on not being able to recognize the north and the southbound, and they're just getting off and going in the on-ramp or the off-ramp instead of the on-ramp and going up the wrong way, because that's one of the ways that a lot of them will end up going in the wrong way, because they don't realize that was the off-ramp coming from the interstate, not your on-ramp, and they just go right up and they don't notice the do not enter signs.
I don't know if you remember that one last year. It was a chick, and I think she was like 20s, 30s. She was wrong way, and a statey literally turned around and chased her down and really, she was DUI. Mm-hmm. You remember that? She was drunk. Somehow she got on. This was down in the Tampa area. She was drunk, and was confused. Can you imagine being drunk and then going, why is everybody coming at me? You know, I mean, panic would set into me.
I would pull over just to try and figure it out. I would not keep going down the highway trying to figure out, man, those jerks are going down the wrong way. I would not figure that out in that manner. I would be thinking, okay, something's wrong because there's too many of them coming at me.
Yeah,
or something to that effect. I'm honestly one of those good girls that does not drive drunk, so that one would have got me there. I would have Ubered it, or I would have just slept in my vehicle or something till I sobered if it came to a situation like that. But honestly,
your luck, the Uber guy would go in the wrong way.
Right. It would be my luck.
No, but seriously, the wrong way crash drivers, and the only thing that I would tell drivers is, this is a case of, and I know you can't. People say that they can watch 24/7. It's not easy. Your mind's thinking while you're out there, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, truckers get into accidents all the time like this. So I would just say you got to be more diligent. You know what I mean? You really do. I mean, your life is depending on it. Remember, and there are times, though, where when someone shoots across the interstate, like that trucker in Wisconsin that was going the correct way, there's a good chance that guy just sailed over there, because I've seen the video of that one from 2 or 3 years ago where the kids in that van were killed here on I-75 up near Gainesville and all that. And they showed the video of that trucker coming across the barrier. And to be honest with you, there was really nothing the other truckers or anybody could do. When that guy shot through like that, you just didn't even see it coming. It was boom, he was over there. So we don't know the full story of how long it took him to go across the medium. Was it a small barrier or was it a big barrier and you could have seen him come? We don't know. But I would just say, guys and gals, pray and just be more diligent. That's all I got to say about that.
Right. Okay.
That's all I got to say about it.
Yeah,
you want to move on?
That's you know who says that?
Yeah, Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say about that. Okay, one last thing I want to talk about. I got a little survey here.
Survey says.
Yeah, it's actually a pretty cool survey. And really what it is it's a survey how truckers feel. See, during the pandemic, everybody was going, yeehaw, yay, truckers, yay. Truckers are cool. Thank you, trucker. Thank you. Because they were out there. The drivers were out there working through the dangerous times.
Right.
And long and behold, now here we are a year or two later, where it's not, you know what I mean? They're not considered essential right now. You know what I mean? And so it says 30% of this is a survey done at truck stops. 30% of them feel not as appreciated as they were during the COVID times. So it says a recent study shows that drivers are feeling less appreciated than during the height of the pandemic and supply chain issues in the last few years. It says the survey was carried out by Truck Stop between August 18th and the 25th. 500 truckers responded to this. And in the survey, 67% of the drivers responded that they do feel their job is appreciated. This compares to 96% of last year's supply chain challenges. That's a 29% difference. In 1 year, almost 30% of all truckers are feeling like, hey, you know what? These guys don't appreciate us like they were, talking a lot of crap when we were out there doing everything for them. But now everybody's back on the road and, they're just, I think there's a lot of disrespectful drivers, like they're not professionally trained. And so, you get cut off, you get the finger flipped at you all day long. And that's probably where a lot of the, okay, we're being disrespected again is coming from, because there was less cars on the road at that time. I think that's a big part of it.
That could be a very big part of it, is that the roads themselves, because everybody was shut down, that it was the drivers that are just going out and everybody was more, happier to see them. In a matter of speaking, when you have, as well as I do, you appreciate your AC guy when you have no AC a lot more than when you don't need it and they're just coming for a checkup, you know?
That's very true. That's a good point. So here's other things that the survey produced. I wanted to bring this up for you real quick here. And okay. It says 83% of drivers experience daily challenges related to recent increases in fuel. So 83% in the survey are saying they experience daily challenges related to the recent increases in fuel. And I would tell you what a big part of that is. A lot of trucking companies are now saying, okay, you can get $50 here, $50 there. You know, they're finding challenges to get to different truck stops because they're trying to get, you know, cheaper fuel, save money. And it's really fallen back on, you know, I've talked to a lot of drivers that are just annoyed with a lot of that crap. Mm-hmm. It says 74% of drivers are concerned about pressure to work longer hours due to the driver shortage.
I don't know why they'd be doing that. There's still, you know, the HOS is still in effect with most of the companies. And I
don't know. That's going to come. I have a survey on the next podcast that's going to talk about that a little bit, but you know, who knows? I think there's a lot of companies out there that push guys past the hours.
I think some companies are trying to get away with it, but I don't know.
Yeah. Well, okay. I mean, this is what the survey says. It says 67% of drivers believe that the current pay levels are high enough to attract new drivers to the industry and keep seasoned drivers from leaving. So 67% of the drivers surveyed said the wages are now pretty good. That's a good thing.
That is a very good thing. But there's some of those drivers that go out in the industry and they think that they deserve more than what they're being paid. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I know that there's some guys, no matter what you pay them, they're going to think they should get more. You know, mm-hmm. If you paid them $5,000 a week, they'd want $6,000.
Exactly.
You know, that's just human nature. But 67% of them are actually saying that they think the pay is at least finally caught up to where they should be getting paid. Now, that means that 33% are saying they're not getting paid correctly.
And it's those 33% that are going to be like half of those are never satisfied no matter what.
Yeah. I mean, you don't know, those 33% might be getting $3,000 a week, but they think they deserve more. But, you know, again, you know, that's just people in general. You can't please everybody. But at least, I mean, I would say probably pre-pandemic, 67 to 87% of those guys were probably saying that they aren't paid correctly.
Well, I think they were getting a little low rate there, you know, from what I was understanding as far as what your general CPMs were. I think that they were pretty low considering what the standard of what rates were. I think that drivers should have gotten paid a little bit more.
Well, I think up till the pandemic, the average over-the-road driver was making $42,000. It was like under $50,000 a year. That was the average. This is like 3 years ago.
Right.
So fuel has come up fuel has come up too, but wages have definitely come up. And it says also 68% say they find it challenging to keep up with the insurance-related matters and the changing industry regulations. And I would say they're probably right about that. The regulations...
That's ridiculous the way they're changing them constantly.
Unbelievable. The trucking industry is what you call over-regulated. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is a very and the reason why it's over-regulated is because it's big money and everybody wants their hands in it. So that's the survey, and I'm sticking to it. And that is my podcast for the day, by the way. Ruth Ann, do you have the word of the day?
I do.
You do? What is the word of the day? And turn it on up. Here, let me turn it up for you. Let me turn up the volume. Go ahead.
Discursive.
Say it again.
Discursive.
Discursive?
Discursive.
Okay, tell us about discursive.
Well, first I got to say, it surprised me. I honestly didn't know. You know, sometimes you see a word and you're like, oh yeah, that has to do with something like this. And then after you read it, you're like, whoa, okay, that's nothing like I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
That was this one.
So what does discursive mean?
Digressing from subject to subject.
Digressing from subject. Go ahead, give me an example.
The author's talk wasn't showy, but he spoke with the same discursive eloquence as he wrote. My favorite college professor gave discursive lectures that connected widely different subjects. Fluent and expansive rather than formulated or abbreviated.
Okay. I doubt I'll use that word.
Yeah, well, you can be a hotshot and say, when someone's talking to you and they're jumping from subject to subject, you can look at them and say, don't be so discursive.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So, and that is by Word Genius. Just want to make sure we always plug them. They're not a sponsor, but we've adopted them a long time ago, and hopefully they get a lot of business from Talk CDL.
I don't think they'll know.
well, we've had people write in and say, "Hey, what's the word of the day going to be?"
We have that.
Yeah. So cool. That's all we've got, Ruth Ann. We're out of here.
Peace.
Peace. Praise the Lord.